Okay. We're up to Makkah 6, Makkah number 6, which is Makkah's Shechin. Boys, you're going to hear something tonight you've never heard before. Unbelievable Kiddush, and I checked it up online. And it's quite incredible. Okay. Shaggy, what was Makkah's Shechin? What was it? Makkah's Shechin. Shechin. What was Makkah's Shechin? Well, yeah, it did look spotty, but a little bit boils. Has anybody had a serious boil on their body? Bigger than the size of a 10-pence piece, man. A Roy's, right? Probably about the size of a Roy, yeah.
What's the most interesting thing?
I know. That's it. I got 2 minutes, Tommy. 2 minutes. 2 minutes, you can go. Tommy, just pause it. Okay, we go. Listen to this. Unbelievable piece. So the Mash now, number 6 comes without Hasra, yeah? Number 3, 6, and 9, there's no warning to Parrot. So Parrot is going to learn, he's got to learn a 3rd lesson regarding Hashgacha process. But it comes without a warning. The 2 of you take 2 handfuls of ash from an oven. So Chazal point out there's 3 or 4 miracles going on here immediately. Number 1, if I fill my hands with sand, and you fill your hands with sand, and pour it into my hand, it won't stay in with it. So in front, and it says Le'ene Paro. So Paro's watching. So Moshe's hands are full, and Aaron pours his. Number 1. Number 2, when you want to throw something far, you use 1 hand, you don't use 2 hands. Number 3, ash. Sit down. Ash is not heavy. It doesn't go very high when you toss it up. There's no weight to throw it higher. It doesn't go very high. And Moshe Rabbeinu, just by going like that, it's going to go the whole of Mitzrayim. Now, why was it necessary to take ash from an oven? If it's just a matter of filling something up, so scoop some sand up or some soil and do the same thing. So the Baruch there's no difference. For the nations, there's no difference. Why did Kodesh Baruch say, Dafka, take ash from an oven? Anybody know? If anybody knows this, I'll give them 10 quid. Well, what is it? Ah, you missed it. No. So the Kodesh Baruch there's no difference. You can roll a little balls of paper and do the same thing. Anything. Why would Dafka ash from a kivshon?
The frogs.
What we would call, it comes from coal. Yeah, you burn the wood, burns up.
The frogs.
The frogs? Oh, they usually go. The frogs.
How long ago?
It was about 3 months earlier. 4 months earlier. Yeah. The first 6 were 1 month apart. By the way, Rosh Chodesh Shvat was Makkah Shechin. It was tonight. It was Makkah Shechin. Yeah. Right?
It's in Australia today.
It was. Well, last night. Or today. Today was Makkah Shechin. So no. What's his name? The boxer. The older guy. What's his name? David, no? Any idea? If we're already using, Kodesh Baruch use anything, why Dafka ash? There's 3 derivatives of coal. There's tar, there's coal from wood, which turns into ash, and there's creosote. All 3 are, they come from the same source in the ground. Listen to this. The verse points it out. Creosote comes from coal tar. Creosote oil is extremely good for acne and is anti-inflammatory. Tar reduces inflammation, itching, and the scaling of psoriasis. And tar soap and coal for soap, traditionally used to cleanse and smooth skin. This is the best thing to put on your skin if you've got a skin condition. Ash ash coal ash, whatever it's called. And of course, David says, take the cure, chuck it up, and watch what happens to them. So now no one can say it's kishuf. It's against all the laws of nature. It's the thing which should be the best thing for your skin. becomes the worst thing for your skin. So that's why Kosh Baruch didn't say take sand or take earth. He said take the best thing you can do for your skin. You can buy it online. You can check online. It's the healthiest thing for your skin. Volcano ash is supposed to be le'ela le'ela. They make bars of soap out of it. It cleans the skin like nothing else. So, because Kosh Baruch is showing him when I want something to happen, it will happen against all the laws of nature. Against all the laws of nature. Paro's got to learn this. That's why this one is le'ene Paro. Right in front of his eyes, he's got to witness this. And then why was there a need for the second nace, though, of 4 handfuls fitting into 2? What does that add to the nace? The answer is Hashgacha Pratis works through nature. Hashgacha Pratis works through nature. So when Hakadosh Baruch Hu wants something to happen, it will defy the laws of nature. It will come through nature. It looks very natural, but it will defy the regular parameters of nature. So that's exactly what Paro had to see. That when Hakadosh Baruch Hu wants something to happen, although it's illogical, it's not in the boundaries of nature, it doesn't matter. It will happen. If that's what Hakadosh Baruch Hu so wants. Okay. So he throws it up. Le'ene Paro. Now, another observation. V'hoya la'avok al kol eretz Mitzrayim. Does anyone know how big Egypt is, by the way? Anyone know the square mileage of Egypt? 977,770 square kilometers.
No.
That's just short of 1 million square kilometers. Rafi?
How many times?
Right? It's probably about, it must be 4 times the size of England, must be. And immediately, this ash, in an instant, spreads 1 million square kilometers. Starts raining down on everybody, but it stops at the border of Goshen. So Hashgacha Pratis. Ellie. Okay. Now carries on. On the man first, then the animals. Chazal say this was a weird boil. A normal boil is dry on the outside, it's got skin, a layer, and it's moist and pussy underneath. This was the opposite. It was dry inside and it was moist on the outside. So when he went to bed, all his bedding, all his clothes were constantly being ruined, right? Not only that, the Torah warns us later, warns Klal Yisrael, if you don't behave, Hashem said, I'll give you Shechin Mitzrayim, Hashem lo sucha lehirofe. There was no cure for it. It stayed with them until the day they died. It never cured. So Paroi, when he put his gear on to come to the Yam Suf, was actually putting his helmet over all his boils and whatever. Yeah, in the films you don't see that. Yeah, they don't know this messages. Yeah, right. Yeah, so they all put their stuff on. I don't know how pleasant it was, but they stayed. Now, where do you see in the pasuk? Unbelievable. So they took it. They did as they were told. It says they threw it up. It says it was on the people. Then the Chatzumim, who've been away for a while, come back and try to copy it or do something, but they couldn't even stand there. Now, does anyone know what the Chatzumim Mitzrayim looked like? You see pictures of it in the books. They wore like a white toga, a white tunic of some sort, and their all bodily hair was shaved off. They were like a pumpkin, and their bodies were exceptionally clean.
Like a bee.
But this was permanently the whole time. This was the whole time. They were absolutely, these just were creams on it. They kept it absolutely, the bodies were absolutely perfect. All of a sudden, they come out with boils everywhere, which for them would be extremely embarrassing. And of course, under their feet as well. It would have been everywhere, the whole body. So that's what the Torah says. They couldn't even stand. They couldn't even stand before Moshe. It was too painful. That's what the Torah says. They couldn't even, never mind they were embarrassed. They couldn't fight with him, but they couldn't even stand there. Now, what does it say? So the Torah has told us they're covered in shechin. Then the Torah repeats it. Says the Malbim, why is the Torah repeating it a second time? It's telling you that it became part of them and never left them. That's why it repeats it. They had it. The Chatzumim therefore were knocked out. They were, what's the word? Deactivated, whatever the word is. Yeah. And then it didn't go away. It stayed with them, and Chazal say it never left them ad Yom Moshe. So it says exactly the same thing with Kinim. So they got Kinim, the Chatzumim tried to get rid of it, and they couldn't. Again, it says again on them, says the Malbim, the same thing. Because the possible to tell him, the Kinim stayed with them, that generation, until they died, suffered from Kinim, and suffered from the shechit. He says all the midstream. He says all the midstream. All the midstream. Remember correctly. The Mama says all of them. The whole dough. He says the whole dough. No, just these two. Number 3 and number 6. He said, because that came as a punishment for not listening the first 2 times. He said the punishment remained. Okay. Now, for the first time, this is Makkah number 6. Paro wanted to give in. And then the Nachamol scratching. Yeah, very good. Very good. So, Paro now wanted to throw the towel in. David, how does the boxer throw the towel in? Man, move. In the way. How does the boxer throw the towel in? Who does it? The trainer? The trainer throws the towel in. Is that where it comes from, the saying? Yeah? So Paro now realized he had no backing anymore of the Chatzumim. They were out of the picture now. So he wanted to give in. He had no one supporting him. So he wanted to give up. And now it's Makkah number 6. Kodesh Baruch said, no giving up, Paro. You're saying no again and again. He was actually he was on the ropes. He was on the canvas, yeah? On the canvas, right? He was gone. He remembers he was finished. But he only wanted to say go because he didn't want to get hit again. He wasn't saying go because Hashem said, I should let you go. That's not acceptable. So Vayichazik Hashem, for the first time, Esleiv Paro, now Paro wasn't aware of this yet. He didn't know now his Bechira has been taken away. But the Sephora says, doesn't mean it was taken away, it was given back to him. He really couldn't say no anymore. So Hashem gave him the ability and the full-headedness to keep on saying no. So really got his Bechira back. The question everyone asks, how Hashem take away his Bechira? He didn't, the opposite. He gave him his Bechira back. But he doesn't know yet. Now, Makkah number 7, Moshe Rabbeinu tells him about this. The Moedika Rambam in Shmoyne Parakim, I think he says it. And he explains the pasuk, and he says everyone learns the pasuk differently. And the Rambam says no, that's not the way to learn the pasuk. I'll explain. So now we go to the 3rd set of Makkah 7, 8, 9. Paro's got to learn lesson number 3. He now knows Hashem exists. He now knows Hashem is Mashkiach, Hashgacha Pratis. But maybe there's 2. Maybe there's 2 Hashem. Maybe there's another one out there. So now he's got to learn lesson number 3. Ein kamoini b'chol ha'aretz. L'man teidat, there's no one else besides Hashem. Hashem echad. He's got to learn that. Now it gets very dramatic now. An incredible warning is given to Paro. Listen to this. We said the first one of each 3. Ein kamoini. No. Hashem echad. Ein kamoini. Ein kamoini. Ein kamoini Hashem elikim. So
2 options.
What?
Hashem echad or Chi Gadol.
Chi Gadol echad. Ein kamoto. Yeah. Okay. So now remember 1, 3, 1, 4, and 7 is always by the river. Now listen to these words. Hashem said, this time I'm going to hit the bullseye. What organ is the lave? It's the heart. Now it can mean the mind. In Lashon Kodesh, lave can mean the mind. Okay? Ariel, come sit now. Oh, you're right in front of David. Right? The mind, lave can also mean the mind. But when has a lesson truly gone through to your mind, when it reaches the heart, when it penetrates your emotions, then you've got the message. Right? Then it is activated in the mind. You can know lots of things, but it has no bearing on your behavior because it's all there in the mind. But once it gets through to the heart, the emotion, then it becomes real in the way you behave. Then you can act differently. Now, I'll tell you something very interesting. This is a big problem with England. Yasser Dovey will tell you this. He'll verify this. A big problem in England is we're brought up to keep a stiff upper lip and to be a man, take it like a man, and all these sound bites you hear. Very, very silly. The English don't know how to express their emotions. It's considered a weakness, or it's not true. To express your emotions means you're a true human being. You've got a feeling. Rabbi Lau told the Moedica story. He said, Nebuch, he went through the war. He goes through the war. And after the war, he ended up, after he came out of Buchenwald, he ended up in a camp in France. A couple of 100 boys. He's one of the youngest. I think it's 230 boys were there. All of a sudden, all the rescue committees all came and wanted to see what can they do for these boys. And they lined them up for a photo. He said they didn't want to talk to them. They didn't want to talk to them. And they were all thinking amongst themselves, where were you when we were in Buchenwald? There were you nowhere to be seen. Yeah, now it's all over. Now you're coming and say, oh, what can we do? What can we do? They were very, very miffed about it. He said, all of a sudden, though, he said, as boys, they're all teenagers. He was 7. He said, but he said they started to cry. Someone started to cry. So the head of the group, before these machas, all these things that wanted, he said, I'd like to speak. So, okay, they let him speak. And he says, you know something? He said, we actually owe you a debt of gratitude for coming here today. So everyone's quiet, like, why? So he said, of what we've been through the last couple of years, he said, we are no longer able to cry anymore. He said, we weren't able to cry anymore. What we've seen day in, day out, he said, the ability to cry, we have lost it. He said, if a person can't cry, he said, he's not a human being. He said, but when you lot came today, he said, we started to cry again, which means we haven't lost the negation of a human being. We realize now, whatever they try to do to us, whatever we've experienced, has not taken away our humanity. And on behalf of the 232 boys, he said, for that alone, thank you for coming. One of the Magid Shir in Eretz Yisrael, he came to speak in school, and he said, he's American, big, dynamic American. And he said, amazing thing, he said, we dafkin our yeshiva, if we get an English boy, we do not let 2 English boys stay in the same room in the dorm. He's definitely got to be with an Israeli and an American. Why an Israeli? So one day he comes back to his room and his roommate's not there for a few days. And then he comes back and the roommate's very quiet about things, very serious frame of mind. He said, this Englishman's got to learn the reality of life in Eretz Yisrael. He's actually sharing a dorm with a sniper. And the sniper's been on active service. That's the reality of life in Eretz Yisrael. And understand what life is, what it means to be living in Eretz Yisrael. That's number one. He said, why with an American? He said these words. He said, you English have to learn to emote. And I'm not sure if it's a real word that, or he made it up. But he said, you've got to learn to express your emotions. He said, and with an American, you'll do it, right? I think we'll appreciate this more than we do. Right? It's a problem. It's a problem with the English. It's not a weakness at all. It's very human. Right? If you hear someone's sorrows and you're pained and you move to tears, you're a true human being. You're not weak. It's not a schwach guy. So Hashem was saying to Paro, your problem is the message which I've taught you till now has not gone through to your heart. But this one's going to get through. This one's going to get through. So what happens? He says, this time, so you should know, there's no one like me in the whole world. So now Hashem says to him, you should know, I should have already polished you off already. When I was killing off all the animals in Dever, it was no big job to extend it to human beings. He says, I could have done it in Dever, this, but in the so you, Paro, might be asking why you're still around. But Ulam, however, I want to show you who I am, that I am the Almighty. That's lesson number 3. And you've got a job, Paro. And here's where Chazal say, Paro survived Kriyas Yamsuf. One did survive Paro. He went trekking off, ended up in Nineveh. The Melech Nineveh, Chazal say, was Paro. And his job was to tell everybody what he'd experienced. And next time a Navi turned up, once bitten, twice shy, he listened straight away. He was machneah himself straight away to the words of the Navi. Not again. He's not going through that again. Okay? And he said, Hashem said to him, you said you don't know who I am? You're going to tell the whole world who I am. Now, so everyone knows the next passage like this. Moshe was giving him a conditional warning. You're still holding on to my people. Not to send them out. This time tomorrow I'm going to rain down a very heavy hailstorms, which Mitzrayim has never seen before. So everyone learns it was conditional. If you hold on to the people, then this time tomorrow there's going to be hailstorms. So the Rambam, it doesn't say that. Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't giving him a choice. Moshe Rabbeinu was telling him, and Paro, just to let you know, you're not in control anymore. You can't even send them out. You are going to hold on to them. And this time tomorrow, there's going to be a hailstorm because you can't send them out. You're not in control anymore. Now, if I would have had Mechira, he would have said, oh, Moshe, really? Don't take them and go. There'll be no hailstorm tomorrow. He said Moshe wasn't giving him a choice. It wasn't a choice of the Rambam. He was telling him the plan. You're going to hold on to them. You're holding on to them. You can't send them out. And this time tomorrow, what's Keis Macha? He drew a line on the wall. He said, when the sun reaches this tomorrow, that line, hailstorms are going to start. Now, why has there never been hailstorms in Mitzrayim? It doesn't rain in Mitzrayim. So you've never had it before. Now, he said very clearly, when he reaches this line, now that's a brave thing to do because Paro's servants, whatever, would have been watching with magnifying glasses the shade, and if that shade misses it by a millimeter or two, Moshe is making it up, it's all nonsense. That's why with Machas Bechoros, Moshe Rabbeinu said about midnight. He didn't say at midnight, in case their watches were wrong. And they would say Moshe didn't tell the truth. So he said about midnight. But this time he says no. Ka'es Macha, he gives the exact timing, and we'll see what happened. And because of this, because Baruch had to change again the laws of nature to back up Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, does anyone know how thunder and lightning works?
Yeah.
Anyone know how does it work? Go on, how does it work? Which one do we see first? Lightning. But which one actually happens first? Thunder happens first. Thunder happens first. But sound travels. That's right. Sound travels 330 meters a second. But light, I think it's 180 million miles a second. Something insane. Something really off the.
Would make sense. Though.
It's just something crazy amount.
The light wouldn't be so.
Well, you open your eyes in the morning and you can see the sun. That's how fast the rays of light take effect. Sorry? That's how the storm's away. That's how you work it out. Okay? So if there's going to be thunder and lightning, Moshe Rabbeinu said this time tomorrow, the borrowed, the hailstones which come with the thunder, it's going to be at this moment. So now, imagine you're in Shemayim on a cloud, yeah? Yeah. Imagine you're on a cloud. And he says, I'm going to rain down. I'm going to rain down thunder. So if you're on that cloud, imagine there's one big cloud in Shemayim. Yeah. So what happens would be there's a clap of thunder first, and the hail starts falling. But before that sound is heard down here, before it reaches the earth, the lightning, which takes a second, whips down quicker. So down here, you actually see the lightning first and hear it as well. And then only afterwards you hear the clap of thunder and the hail reaches down here. So although it starts earlier, it arrives later by nature of sound versus sight. Okay? So now he said, Hineni Mamti. Yeah, he said, I'm going to make it rain down. Now, rain down means in the normal manner. In the normal manner. But let's see what happened. Unbelievable. So he says, then he gives him a warning. He says, get all the animals and all people go inside. The Makkah was only supposed to destroy the vegetation. It wasn't supposed to kill anybody. He says, I'm warning you now, any man or animal found outside in the field, he's not gone inside, they'll be killed. Now, those who feared the word of Hashem. Now, what does Me'avdei Paro mean? Some say it means from the servants of Paro. He had some of them who did listen. Says the Meshech Chochmah, no. Paro sent out all his police officers and said no one's allowed to bring anything in. No one's allowed to. He's trying to Mach Moshe Rabbeinu. So he says, there were some of them who feared the word of Hashem more than the policemen. Me'avdei Paro, more than the policemen. And although they were fined for bringing it in, they passed them on. So those who feared the word of Hashem more than the policemen who were going around blocking everybody, bringing stuff in, brought his servants and his cattle into the houses. Those who ignored it, left it all outside. So some are out and some are in. Now what happens? Stretch your hand out because people had stayed outside with animals. Hashem told him, men and animals are going to get killed. The alcohol asev on every blade of grass by Eretz Mitzrayim. Look at that. Not one blade of grass is going to escape. Hold on. Now, let's see what happens. So Moshe stretches out. Now, here we are. Hashem, he was told, Hineni Mamti, I'm going to rain down. Doesn't say that. When it came to it, Hashem Nosan Koilos Ubarod. Hashem gave. Koilos is thunder. Barad is the hail. So then the lightning came down. Oh, says the Malbim, because Moshe Rabbeinu said the thunder, the hailstones will be at this moment. Hashem couldn't allow it to happen under normal circumstances. It delays a few seconds till it gets there, because the lightning they would see, they say, right, the Makkah started, and Moshe got it wrong. Look, it came a bit later. So Hashem Nosan, the two came down at the same speed. The hailstones and the thunder, the sound of the thunder, Hashem Nosan, he put it down on planet Earth. It arrived down here the same second as the speed of light. That's what it says. Hashem Nosan Kozubaran, but the answer. So Moshe Rabbeinu is now vindicated. They saw to the second, and then started going normally. Then Vayamta Hashem Barad Alas Mitzrayim. Then it started raining that normal thing. The initial one to back up Moshe Rabbeinu came differently to how it normally descends when it comes bucketing down. Okay. So exactly, it doesn't make sense. That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. So now says the Malbim. Here you see it was two types of borrowed. One was to kill the people and the animals as a punishment, and then the second borrowed was how it should have been. So he says so one set of borrowed was a punishment to kill anybody outside, and then there's a second one. The ace called ace of asada hika borrowed. That's called ace asada. She smashed every tree in Mitzrayim. Now, next week, please God, we're going to do about locusts. I'll tell you chidushim on locusts. I spent a long time researching a bit of locusts. But the most fertile conditions, now don't forget, Egypt, apart from around the Nile, is a very dry country. But the most fertile conditions for locusts to breed is when it's moist. So I wonder, because Daphne brought the borrowed first, he gave the land a good soaking. So when the locusts came, what they do is, when the locust lands, besides eating, well, next week I'll tell you some of the details, what they can eat. Unbelievable. They burrow into the ground and they lay eggs. But it's got to be moist for them to do that. So when all the locusts left, they're left behind millions and millions of locusts. So they got a second round of Soros long after the locusts have flown away. But Hashem had that all organized with Makkah's borrowed occurring before the locust. Okay, so it carries on. So in the warning, he didn't mention about the thunder, just mentioned about the borrowed. But it says, Chazal say, another phenomenal word, the next pasuk, the lightning stayed next to the borrowed, and fire and water normally can't coexist. Whichever's bigger normally knocks out the other one. And here they coexisted. There's a machlok exactly how it worked. Some say it was like in a box of ice, there was a fire inside the ice. So the ice came down, smashed whoever was there, anything in its way. Then it split open. The fire inside it melted the ice, and then set fire to wherever it had landed. Now, what's the scariest part of being in the army?
Nothing. Do you know why?
Scariest army is an artillery attack. Being under an artillery attack is the most scariest part of the army, because the noise of the you hear it, yeah. Well, the air sounds. The noise is what terrifies people. That's what terrifies people.
If you buy a pair
This-
of Apple, don't
All right. So if you got barrett windows, yeah, you won't hear it. Okay. Yeah. So the noise is the most terrifying part of a thing. When I was in one of the yeshivas there, I met a guy there, he's an Englishman, and he was in the artillery, and they just come back from Gaza. One of them a few years ago, in 2015, we went to Gaza. His name is Nathaniel. Yeah, guy from London. So I asked him, what branch are you in? So he says, he's in the artillery. So I said, well, what do you do? So he said, oh, it's quite simple. He said, it's all done with the computers now and everything on the thing. He said, they explained how the artillery works. He said, it's quite simple. You're given a target. He said, they have spotters. He said, now it's done with drones. It's all gone very, very high tech now. So they have spotters where they're given a target. They line it up on the computers. He said, so I said, how many do you fire? Oh, he said, it's quite funny. He said, not funny, it's more than word funny. He said, we fire about 20. He said, yeah, literally, you pass the big shells, shove it in, the last one shoves it in, close the door, they turn around, you go like that or something. Well, they have airplanes now. And he said, they fire 20. So I said, why so many? If it's so accurate nowadays. Oh, he said, we've got to make sure you destroy the target, he said. And then the spotters will now with the drones check, job done, and then they move on to the next one. Move on to the next one, because I couldn't understand why you need to be so fit to be in the artillery. Right? So he said there's a lot of schlepping around. So they do every time they have to do an operation, they've got to train a bit beforehand, get them sort of battle battle ready. He said, but it's the noise. It's the noise. So that's what happened here. Okay. And it did its job. Right, where is Goshen? Not one piece of board fell in Goshen. Now, how do we know it penetrated Paro's heart? For the first time, this Makkah. Listen to this. And what was it that penetrated? What got through to him? Starts doing vidui. Quite amazing. He said, Chotasi. Hashem tzaddik. Hashem is righteous. And I and my people are wicked. My kids once told me a pshat, and I found it's a chazal. Came over from school, remember, when they were little. He said, no, Paro went like this. He said, Hashem tzaddik v'ani. Hashem is righteous and so am I, comma. V'ami horashayim, my people are wicked. So I always thought it was a bit of a cop-out. But I found this year, one of the fathers says, no. There's a medrash which says, when they wanted to start with the Jews, Paro didn't agree. So they deposed him for 3 months. And he wanted his job back. So he said, all right, I'll go along with it. But initially he didn't want to. He said no. So he was claiming, I was righteous. I didn't want to start with the Jews. It's V'ami horashayim. He said, they were the wicked ones who made me do it. So it's not such a gelechta. It's not such a battle. Yeah, it's like there was a, Masham says it, I can't remember where I saw it. One of the Mepharshim says that was his taina. I didn't instigate it. I did it, but I didn't instigate it. It was my people who instigated it. Now, look what he says. Ha'atiru el Hashem, daven to Hashem, v'rav. What do you think got him the most? He said, there's too much. I can't handle it. He goes, the thunder, the noise of the thunder, I can't take it. So now we learn a very important thing from here. The power of sound on the human heart. Because it was the koilos. If you get an emotional nigger, and you see a very, very emotional song or a very emotional thing, you get carried away, it changes you, it does something to you. It penetrates you and you start singing it wherever you go, it just becomes part of you. In another way, the reason for the beat in rap or pop music is the opposite, is to stir up the animal instinct of a man, get it all boom, 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 boom. It's different koiches than the neshama. But the actual power of music, the actual power of a koil, is to penetrate right through you. I was once in Holy Law years ago. I must have been a seed night. And the old chazan there, Chazan Ross, had a very, very sweet voice. It was a regular Mariv. No, sorry, it wasn't Slichas, another time. A regular Mariv. So either had your side or they asked him to daven. And he started singing B'hu Rachum. On a regular weekday night, be a chazan, I suppose. You can't not be a chazan. He sang B'hu Rachum with such a hergish and niggun. I'm telling you, it was like Kol Nidri night. It was unbelievable. Just a sweet, a very, very moving niggun. Don't know what it was. Yeah. And he said Baruch Hu, like it was not normal. And all he did was he sang, how many words is it? B'hu Rachum already, 15 words, if that. But when it comes out with a niggun can carry you away. That's the koich of music. So we're coming up to Purim soon. You know, Achashverosh's party talks about the food and the drinks and the decor, everything. The one thing he didn't have in the party was no music. So the practical reason is very good. If you like Newcastle Brown Ale and I like John Smith, it's not a contradiction. We're both enjoying a meal. I'm drinking what I like. You do what you like. But if you like, I don't know, Shrekking, and I like Bobby Gabai, what his name is, yeah. What I enjoy is earache for you. What you enjoy is earache for me. So you can't have music out because people aren't going to enjoy themselves. He wants them also to enjoy the meal. Okay, well now you got an answer, right? The real reason is, what music would Jews have sung in those days? It would have been Tehillim with the Nigunim of the Beis Hamikdash. That's the only music Jews would have had. Sure, that Tehillim. David HaMelech was before the first Beis Hamikdash. They were after the Churban, the first Golus. He said if the last thing he wanted was the Jews to start getting nostalgic about the Beis Hamikdash and go back to Eretz Yisrael. That's the last thing he wanted. So he dafka avoided it because it had to be last, so his kids, so ish. Everything in that part had to be what you wanted to hear. And the Nigunim, the Yidden would have wanted to hear, old Yiddish Nigunim. Even you find an interesting thing. A lot of the refugees who came over from Europe in the 1900s, whatever, although a lot of them weren't very from, but they loved listening to Chazons. Chazonos, listening to the old Chazonim, they all loved it. There's a reminiscing of the old days. They won't keep, it wasn't a chayav on them, but there's a thing about old Yiddish and Nigunim. So here's what Achashverosh definitely kept it out because he knew the power of Nigunim would achieve what he wanted to get Kaisel to sit at the banquet. The last thing he wanted them was to start longing for the Beis Hamikdash and go back to Eretz Yisrael. So he definitely avoided think Monsal Levi says it. Dafka avoided music with the power of a coil, right? You get a good chazan with get a rocking lechodoidi, right? A real nice nigga lechodoidi. Everyone joins in. It's usually not the slow ones. The slow ones don't work. It's a very slowly good, you know. Yeah, but we get one in the good which move, and everyone likes it. It's an easy one to sing. So even those like me that haven't got a good voice can join in. It makes a different Shabbos. It makes a different Kabbalah Shabbos. It's unbelievable, right? Just a bit of a niggin. That's all it is. But it's Ma'ira. It's Ma'ira people, and they hear it worked. Hashem said, "I'm going to send it a libcha," and it was the coil which penetrated the heart. Unbelievable piece. Okay. So basically, Moshe finished off, and the Moshe said, "Look, I'll go out and damn for you, but I know you're not finished yet. You're still going to carry on." And then the Torah points out that anything hard in the was destroyed, but anything which was soft, which could be flattened, got flattened. And the reason for that was to make sure that the locust could have a good shalosh others. As we'll see, Be'ez Hashem, we'll see next week. We'll do the final three makkahs, Be'ez Hashem.
Yeah.